In this lesson, we are going to begin putting in some of the functionality for our knockback. So our knockback is going to happen whenever we run into a hazard. You're going to hit it and then be pushed away from it so that you realize, oh, I hit something. It's not just, you're losing one of the hearts up there. You also get knocked backwards, which can also help you adjust and not just be, awkwardly sitting on top of a hazard and, that you just got injured on. That'd be strange. So before we get to that, though, I'm going to go ahead and fix these hearts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the three heart images selected. And down in the image component in the inspector, I'm just going to click on Preserve Aspect. And then when I play it, it will look something like this. So see, that looks better than how it used to look. And if you wanted it to behave more like a traditional sort of like heart depletion, where this one just goes away and this one goes away, and these, like when this one goes away, these stay here, they don't move or anything like that. You don't need the horizontal layout group. You'll just need to position these and make them the right size and everything without relying on this component. So if you want it to look like that, that's fine. I like it the way it is right now, so I'm cool with that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into my health manager script, and I'm going to go ahead and start adding a couple variables which we're going to use in order to do our knockback. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a variable that we can hold, not there though, down here. It's going to be a public variable because I want to assign it from the inspector, and we're going to be creating a rigid body 2D variable that's going to hold the rigid body 2D of our character, and this is what we're going to be able to use to set our velocity of our character. So it's when we're going to be able to use to sort of throw our character back. Okay, so let's just call it player body. That'll be its name. And we're going to need a function to actually, knock back our player. So I'm going to call this, it's going to be a void function, not going to return anything, and it's going to be called knock back, just like that. And it's going to take a vector 3. It's going to take the position of the thing that's knocking back our player, because we want to knock it back in the opposite direction. So we're going to need to also know the position of this object that we're going to. So we can call this, let's just call it hazard position. Just like that. Okay, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and work on the vector math for this. So the vector math, you can look into vector math if you want to on your own. I'm just pretty much going to lay it out here on how you're going to get the direction you're going to need to send your character in order to have the knockback effect actually working, to actually send the character flying away from where they hit the hazard. So to put it simply, we're going to need to get the heading, and with the heading we can get the distance, and with the distance and the heading we can get the direction. So let's start off by getting the heading. So the heading is going to be a vector 3, and it's going to be determined, well, let's first give it a name. We'll call it heading, and it's going to be determined from our position from our character's position. So we'll get that. So it's going to be transform with lowercase t, because remember, this script is on our character, so we can just use transform. This will just get the component of the object it's on, the transform component of that object. So we can say transform dot position, and we're going to minus the hazard position, and that's how we're going to get the heading. And now what we need to do is get the distance. So to get the distance, it's going to be a float, because it's just a number, not 3 different numbers like a vector 3. It's going to be a float, and we're going to call it distance, obviously. And it's going to be equal to the magnitude of the heading. So just understand that's how you find the distance between these 2 points here. Okay. So now, to get the direction, it's going to be a vector 3 first off. And we're going to call it direction. And the direction is going to be equal to the heading divided by the distance. Okay. So that's really what you need to know for this. I mean, you can look into it in more depth if you like to, but this is what we're going to need to be able to know in order to go ahead and get our direction. So that should be it. That should be fine. Now, with that, though, we want to apply a velocity for a rigid body 2D. So we have a vector 3, which means it's a little bit more data than we need. We have, three different direction. We have three different points. We have the x, y, and z. We'll need the x and the y. So we're going to go ahead and just create a vector 2 that just grabs the x and y from this direction. So we're going to call this direction for velocity. And we're going to set this equal to we're going to set this equal to a new vector 3. So you make sure you say new vector, vector 2, and it's going to be direction.x and direction.y. We're just grabbing the x and y values from the direction and creating a new vector 2 based off those. Okay, so there we go. We have that now. So now we have to actually do with that is we need to apply that to the player body dot velocity. So set that equal to our direction for velocity right there, just like that. So that's cool. We got that now. So with that, we might want to also go ahead and multiply it by something, because right now it's basically just going to be 1 unit of velocity in whatever direction that we've figured out from this. So it's not going to be very fast. So for now, let's just put in a number, and we can always change it in a little bit. I'm going to say 20, and so we can go back and adjust this later. But I'm going to save it, and currently it's actually not going to work. So if I go in here, well, it's going to not work for a few reasons. Let's go back into here and actually call the function to make it a little closer to working. So I'm going to put knockback right here where we're actually depleting the health. So knockback, and we're going to pass in the collisions.transform.position. We can access the transform.position just by using the dot operators. And we'll close that out. Just like that. Okay. So we're passing that in. Let's go ahead and so we saved it. Go back over here. Let it compile. Okay, now let's play it. And unfortunately, it's not going to work, and that's because we still have control of the character. And when we have control of the character, we're overriding whatever velocity we're setting somewhere else, and that's happening in some of the character scripts. I can go and select our character, and what we need to do is we need to change some stuff in the platformer 2D user control. I'm going to load the original file. Anyway, I was messing with that earlier, so that's why that came up. But okay, so we need to change some stuff here. We're going to get to that in the next lesson. Thanks for watching. I'll see you then.